Greetings and welcome to Pinball Help. Mike here. Today, as you can see, I am working on a Bally Kiss pinball machine. This was brought in. A friend of a friend had it, and they had it stored for a while, and it just stopped working or whatever. It's one of those situations where they claim it was working and then they moved it and it stopped working. And you'll never really know, right? So we put the thing back together. It's still coming out of storage, so it's still got plastic wrapped on it. What's interesting about this is it's a really beautiful example of the game, but if you look closer, you can see that it's been touched up. This is not original. These are not stencils. Somebody hand painted this. They did a really good job, though. It does look nice, but it's been completely redone. But not too bad of a job, really. The game's in pretty good shape. You can look here. See, this is one of the reasons why I like to get rid of these incandescents and put LEDs, because you can see they get all dirty and then they start to smoke and they create these little lines in the back glass, and of course they generate more heat and don't put out as much light. So when I first got this, it wasn't booting at all, and let me talk about what I did. I've first off, the MPU board, which is this is the one that was in the game. No. This is the one that was in the game right here, which looks to be relatively an original one. And they had the battery in a bag off of the board, but it was obviously bad. It was still probably outgassing, and you could see it wasn't the first battery on this thing, so it had been relocated, but there was still some corrosion down here. I don't know who worked on this game before, or whether they mitigated this and this is old, or this has been continually creeping. Because one of the problems with these games when the batteries leak is the electrolyte will just creep up the board. Even if you get rid of the battery and you clean it, unless you neutralize that electrolyte, it's going to continue to creep up here, and it's eventually going to start to get into things. I don't know if that's an original socket there or not. Let's take a look. Looks like it is. There have obviously been some repairs here. Some transistors and some stuff. Looks like the test points here have been reflowed, and but it's a relatively clean board anyway. It wasn't booting, and I had a few extra boards, and this gave me an opportunity. The first thing I did was I replaced the MPU board, because I did check over here. You can see there's been a number of replacements in here. This appears to be original, the soundboard. The lighting board looks like it's original. These two up here are replaced, and I'm going to talk about them in a minute. This has obviously been replaced too, but I checked all the voltages on this rectifier board, and they're all coming out good, but for some reason, we weren't getting voltage to the 5 volts. Now, normally the process there is you check it, you follow the powertrain, and you check the 5 volts and the voltage coming to the power driver board. And this is the original power driver board. And you can see that's probably the original cap, as is this one. And we were getting like 4 point something volts. So there was definitely something wrong. Then you can check, you switch to AC, and you take a look at if you see any AC voltage on some of these DC test points. If it's over a very low amount of voltage, then you know you've got some leakage in the caps. So we determine that's, oh, look at that. Is that a piece of tin foil on that thing? Look at that. I didn't even notice that. That's a no-no, huh? What is going on there? That's not good. Anyway, the owner of this game doesn't know anything about pinball. He's a Kiss fan, and this is one of his prized possessions, and he wants this thing bulletproof. So I recommended, let's just swap out the boards to make sure that we don't have any additional problems, and he was totally cool with putting extra money into it. Some Bally games, it may not even be worth doing a major updates to the game, because it might not improve the value. But these Kiss machines are highly sought after and still hold their value very well. And this one has obviously been nicely repainted and everything. So we're going to bring this thing back into nicety. So we're going to replace the MPU board and the power driver board. I may go over this power driver board and check it. I may also play around and see if we can identify specifically where the problem is. But I'm pretty sure these caps are going bad, and that's part of the problem. Now that I see that there, I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned. I don't know what kind of crap that is over there, but that's, that's bad. I haven't had a chance to check the power on the displays, but I gave the owner the option of upgrading to these new displays that I've been getting from this guy Wayne in Australia, because they came out so nice. I don't know if you saw the video where I upgraded my Paragon with those LED displays, but they're gorgeous. So he's agreed to want to do that, and I already had another order of a couple sets from Australia. So when they come in, that's what we're going to do. We're going to make this thing pop. It's going to look really good. Now, I know you purists out there are going to complain and tell me that I'm screwing everything up because it all should be original, blah, blah, blah. I'm telling you, if Bally or Stern could have done this back then, they would have done it too. It's clearly an improvement. Lower power, more reliability. We're going to probably also put 2 SMD LEDs in the back in the back box, so that the brand new Repro back glass that they got doesn't get damaged by the heat. So I did manage to get the game booted up after I replaced both boards. Now, this board is an interesting board. This board comes from the same guy, Wayne, out of Australia, and I'll put a link in the video to his eBay store. He doesn't sell a whole lot of stuff to the general public. He's basically an electrical engineer who's a pinball enthusiast, and he created these boards to solve his own problems. So if you ask him, can you do this, can you do that, his response will be like, well, I haven't had a need for it, so I haven't gotten to that yet. That's kind of his attitude, and he basically does things to make his own life easier, and then he produces them and shares them with other people. The stuff is supposed to be designed to be just a straight drop-in. So this is his version of the power driver board, which is fairly simple. He's using two 10K, I believe those are 10K electrolytics instead of this thing. So he's sourcing cheaper parts that are easier to do than these big monsters that provide the same thing. I don't know what's up with the voltage regulator on here, but I do know that there is no high power voltage on this board. He has been updating all his Bally games with his LEDs that he designed, and so he remade a power driver board that just doesn't even have the high voltage portion onto it. So this is not going to work with these displays because we don't have the power for them. Now, there may be a way of jumping some power off of this board over to it, but I'm not going to mess with it because the client wants these things to be LED'd out, so we're going to do that. I may end up keeping this in this game or replacing it with another one. This, obviously, we don't need this one with the high voltage section when we updo these things, but I'll use it in another game if I can. And but this worked beautifully. We just dropped this thing smack in, and we had no problems. There was one other problem with the game where this connector over here was broken, and I've got it pushed on, but the connector's broken in two, and there's one pin that is disconnected. So that whole connector is going to have to be repinned. Not fun, but it's doable. The biggest problem with repinning connectors of these old games is that you gotta sit over the game, right? You can't really pull the harness out and do it on the bench where you're comfortable. That's probably the thing that kills me about it. Other than that, we're going to get this thing going. So let's see. I haven't even unwrapped the game to find out what condition the playfield and everything is in, but it initially looks pretty good. Oh, one other thing I want to show you. There was another board that came with this machine, and I was looking at this, and I've never seen anything like this. It says Mutha board, Mutha, M-U-T-H-A, by a company called The Repair Connection. Has anybody heard of this? I mean, I thought I'd seen most of these boards. This looks like a pretty old one. It has the KISS ROMs on it. We swapped this one out, and it didn't work either. That's when we figured out, okay, it's the driver board. I don't know if this thing works or not, but I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to drop an Altel in here, an Altec, because I know those work really well. It's got the extra features like the free play mode and all that, and we don't have to mess with ROMs. We just change a dip switch right there, and we select the game on it, so it's very easy. And these things are very inexpensive. They used to be like $275. Last time I bought one, it was $199, so it's nice to see something go down in price for a change. I think they may have been $199 for quite a while. It just shows you how long ago it's been that I bought one or something. But anyway, we got this game booting up. I'm going to unwrap it, take a little bit more of a look at it, and see what the situation is. So stay tuned for part 2, where we're going to go a little bit more over the game, and I'm going to also talk about what I'm going to do to make this game a little bit nicer with some later technology. So stay tuned for part 2, and until then, thanks for watching.